The hoodie hit the floor with a wet slap, soaked through with rain and something darker. Something metallic that pooled like regret under the dim bulb of our Brooklyn walk-up. "Anthony, you gotta believe me," Mark's voice cracked from the doorway. His eyes wilder than the storm raging outside, hands trembling as he slammed the door against the thunder. In that split second, as lightning cracked the sky and lit his face like a confession, I knew our fragile roommate pact had just shattered into something irreversible, something that smelled like blood and tasted like forbidden love. It was supposed to be just another semester at NYU, scraping by on ramen and late-night shifts at the campus coffee shop. I'd answered the Craigslist ad on a whim. Quiet roommate wanted for Astoria brownstone. No drama. $800 per month. Mark had shown up 2 days later, all broad shoulders and easy smiles, hauling a duffel bag that looked like it had seen better decades. He was from somewhere upstate Syracuse, maybe? With that Midwestern jawline and a faint scar snaking down his left cheek that he waved off as a hockey mishap. We clicked instantly over bad takeout pizza and shared gripes about the city's endless grind. He was studying criminal justice at John Jay, always buried in case files, quoting Miranda rights like poetry. I was the artsy type, film major with dreams of Sundance and a sketchbook full of half-formed stories about boys who fell too hard. That first week, he borrowed my gray hoodie without asking, classic move. "It's chilly in here, man." "Yours looks cozy," he'd said, pulling it over his head with a grin that made my stomach flip in ways I wasn't ready to unpack. I was out and proud, sure, but Mark, he had this vibe, flirty banter that danced on the edge of something more. Late-night talks on the fire escape where his knee would brush mine and neither of us pulled away. I catch him watching me sometimes, those hazel eyes lingering like he was memorizing the curve of my jaw. But New York chews up vulnerability, so I played it cool. Laughed it off. Lent him the hoodie again the next night. We fell into a rhythm fast. Mornings were chaos. Me chugging coffee while editing a short film on my laptop, him lacing up boots for his security gig downtown. Evenings blurred into movie marathons, Scorsese flicks, because he loved the grit, the moral gray zones. "Life's not black and white, Anth," he'd say, tossing popcorn my way, his laugh rumbling low. I'd nod, pretending my pulse didn't spike when his fingers grazed mine. One night, after a double feature of Goodfellas and Taxi Driver, we cracked open beers on the couch, the city humming below like a beast that never slept. "You ever feel like you're running from something?" he asked, staring at the skyline. I shrugged, heat rising in my chest. "Every day. Additions that ghost you, exes who text at 2 a.m. Begging for closure you already gave. My last boyfriend, Tyler, had been a disaster, jealous, volatile, the kind who showed up drunk at parties and started fights to prove he cared. We'd split 6 months back, but his texts still pinged like ghosts. "Miss you, babe. Come back." I'd blocked him, but the unease lingered. Mark leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "Forget, Em. You've got better stories ahead." His hand rested on my thigh, casual at first, then not. Time stretched, the air thick with unspoken wants. When our lips finally met, it was electric, slow, searching, like he'd been holding back a storm. We tumbled into it, bodies tangling on the thrift store couch. His hoodie, my hoodie, rucked up as hands explored skin we'd both pretended not to notice. It was messy, urgent, the kind of kiss that rewrites your address book. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled like him. I whispered, "This changes everything." He traced my collarbone, voice husky. "Only if you want it to. We didn't label it. Didn't need to." Days blurred into stolen moments. Quickies in the shower before class. His head between my thighs under the kitchen table while I pretended to study. He was attentive, intuitive, knew when to push, when to pull back. Made me feel seen, not just desired. But there were shadows. He'd vanish for hours on errands. Come back with bruised knuckles or that far-off look. Once, I found a switchblade in his jacket pocket, tucked beside a crumpled pack of Marlboros. "Protection," he muttered when I asked, kissing my temple to deflect. I let it slide. Love makes you blind, or maybe just willing. Fall deepened, leaves turning the East River gold. We hosted a Halloween party low-key, just friends from my film club and his sparse circle. Mark dressed as Travis Bickle, mohawk and all, while I went as a noir detective, fedora tilted low. The apartment pulsed with laughter, cheap punch, and Bowie on the stereo. That's when Tyler crashed it. I spotted him in the doorway, eyes bloodshot, leather jacket slung over shoulders that suddenly seemed too broad for the room. "Anthony," he slurred, pushing past a cluster of witches and zombies. "We need to talk." Mark was across the room, chatting with my buddy Lena, but his head snapped up like he'd sensed a threat. I pulled Tyler into the hallway, heart hammering. "What the hell? Man, I told you we're done." He grabbed my arm, grip bruising. "You think you can just replace me with that meathead? I saw you too." Faggot parade. Rage boiled up, but before I could swing, Mark was there, hand firm on Tyler's shoulder, voice steel. "Let him go. Now." Tyler shoved him, but Mark didn't budge, just twisted his arm back with a precision that screamed training. "Walk away, or I make you." Tyler spat on the floor, eyes venomous. "This ain't over, pretty boy." He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Mark turned to me, jaw tight. "You okay?" I nodded, adrenaline crashing. "Yeah. Thanks." But as the party wound down, I caught him staring at the door, fingers flexing like he was itching for a fight. The next morning, Tyler texted, "Watch your back. Both of you." I deleted it, but the chill stayed. Mark saw the color drain from my face. "Ignore him. He's bluffing." We tried. Buried it under lazy Sundays in bed, his lips mapping my spine while rain pattered the window. He borrowed the hoodie again that week. "Keeps me warm thinking of you." And I watched him pull it on, the fabric swallowing his frame, a piece of me on him. Felt intimate, possessive in the best way. Then came the call. Late October, 2 a.m. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, Tyler's name flashing like a warning. I silenced it, rolling into Mark's arms. But he was already awake, staring at the ceiling. "Answer it," he said quietly. "No. It's nothing." His hand tightened on my hip. "Might not be." I picked up, heart in my throat. Tyler's voice was a slur of fury. "You think your boyfriend's tough? Tell him I know his secrets." Ex-con, right? Stole a car in 18. Did time upstate. I dug around. "You're slumming it with trash, Anthony." The line went dead. I turned to Mark, betrayal twisting like a knife. "Is it true?" He sat up, shadows carving his face. "Yeah." Juvenile shit. Joyriding. I was 18. Dumb as hell. Paid for it, literally. His eyes searched mine. Vulnerable. Does it change us? I wanted to say no, but the seed was planted. Tyler's words echoed, poisoning the air. We argued, quiet at first, then raw. Why hide it? I yelled. Because I didn't want you looking at me like that, he paced. Hoodie still on. Fists clenched. Like I'm broken. You're not, I whispered, pulling him close. We made up in the dark, bodies frantic to erase the doubt. But the fracture lingered. A week later, Tyler escalated. He slashed my tires outside the coffee shop, left a note on the windshield. Leave him or else. I showed Mark, expecting rage. Instead, he went pale. Stay inside tonight. I'll handle it. Handle how? Just trust me. He kissed me hard, then grabbed his jacket and my hoodie and was gone. Hours ticked by. Paced, texting friends, scrolling Tyler's Insta for clues. Nothing. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. Mark stumbled in at 6 a.m., drenched, hoodie clutched in white-knuckled hands. He dropped it at my feet, the fabric heavy, sodden. That's when I saw it. The dark stain blooming across the chest, the coppery tang hitting me like a slap. What the fuck? Mark. The words tore from me, raw and jagged, as I knelt to touch the hoodie, my fingers coming away slick with what could only be blood. His face was a mask, jaw locked, eyes hollowed by whatever hell he'd walked through. Rain dripping from his hair onto the scuffed hardwood, mixing with the evidence at our feet. Tell me this isn't what I think it is. He didn't speak at first, just crossed the room in 2 strides and pulled me up, his grip iron but his touch desperate, like I was the anchor keeping him from drifting into the abyss. He's gone. Anthony. Tyler. He won't hurt you anymore. The confession hung between us, heavier than the storm's aftermath. And in that moment, as sirens wailed distantly from the street below, I felt the world tilt, love curdling into terror. The man I'd fallen for morphing into a stranger who'd crossed a line for me. I shoved him back, heart slamming against my ribs. Gone? What do you mean, gone? The hoodie lay between us like an accusation, his gray threads now a canvas of violence. Mark's scar seemed deeper in the morning light filtering through the blinds, a reminder of the scars he carried inside too. He sank onto the couch, head in hands, shoulders shaking not from cold, but from the weight of what he'd done. He cornered me in that alley off Bedford. Had a knife, ranting about you, about us. Said he'd make sure I never touched you again. Mark's voice was low, fractured, each word pulled like shrapnel. I tried to talk him down, and swear to God. But he fucking lunged, and it was him or... I didn't think. Just reacted. The word echoed, too clean for the stain on my floor. Paced, breath coming in gasps. The apartment suddenly claustrophobic with the scent of wet wool and iron. Flashes hit me. Tyler's drunken rages, the bruises he'd left on my arms before I finally walked, the way he'd twisted love into a leash. And Mark, my Mark, had ended him? For me, the romance we'd built on whispers and touches now felt like a house of cards in a hurricane. Cops, I managed, voice barely above a whisper. He shook his head, lifting his gaze, those hazel eyes I drowned in now rimmed red. No. I handled it. Dumped him in the river. No traces. My old crew upstate taught me tricks. The casualness chilled me. Old crew. The ex-con Shadow Tyler had unearthed. Now a specter in our home. I grabbed my phone, fingers hovering over 911, but his hand closed over mine. Gentle, pleading. Don't. Please. They'd take me away. From you. From this. He pulled me down beside him, forehead to mine, breath mingling hot and ragged. I did it for us. To keep you safe. The word cracked something open in me, a flood of conflicting tides, horror at the act, gratitude for the protection, and beneath it all, that stubborn pull toward him, the way his presence filled the empty spaces Tyler had carved out. I let the phone drop, burying my face in his neck, tasting salt on his skin. What have you done to us? We didn't sleep that day. Cleaned the hoodie in the sink, the water running pink down the drain like a ritual absolution. He held me through the shakes, murmuring apologies that blurred into promises. I'll never let anyone hurt you again. By noon, exhaustion claimed us, tangled on the bed in a heap of limbs and lies we both pretended weren't there. When I woke, he was cooking pancakes. Of all things, the kitchen smelling like vanilla and denial. Eat, he said, sliding a plate over. We need normal. We chased it like a mirage. Classes resumed, my film prof droning about chiaroscuro while I sketched Mark's profile in the margins, light and shadow, love and lethal. He picked up extra shifts, came home with takeout and that disarming smile, but the hoodie stayed in the back of my closet, a talisman I couldn't burn. Nights, we'd lose ourselves in each other, his body a map I navigated with lips and hands, chasing oblivion. You're mine, he'd growl against my throat, possessive in a way that thrilled and terrified. I'd arch into him, whispering back, always, but cracks spiderwebbed. Tyler's disappearance hit the news. A missing persons blurb on New York 1. 23-year-old from Queens. Last seen arguing with boyfriend. Me. My phone exploded. Friends texting concern. Lena calling in tears. Police might want to talk to you. Anth. Mark overheard, his fork pausing midair. Say nothing. About me. The cops came 2 days later, detectives in cheap suits, badges glinting like judgments. They sat on our sagging couch, the same one where we'd first kissed, and grilled me gently. Any fights? Enemies? I lied smoothly, Mark's hand hidden but squeezing mine under the coffee table. X stuff. Messy breakup. They nodded, left brochures on domestic violence, their eyes lingering on Mark's bruised knuckles. Door closed. He exhaled like a man surfacing. Good job, baby. The endearment softened the edges, pulled me back into his orbit. But doubt festered. Late one night, buzzed on cheap wine, I confronted him. Who are you? Really? The hockey scar? The blade? The crew? It's like you're two people. He poured another glass, shadows pooling under his eyes. I'm the guy who loves you, Anthony. The rest? Survival, he told me then, haltingly, over the hum of the fridge. Foster kid bounced around Syracuse. Dad in prison for dealing. Mom OD'd when he was 12. Joyriding at 18 was his cry for attention. Caught. Sentenced. Out at 20 with a chip on his shoulder and skills no resume lists. Met guys inside who taught me to fight dirty. To protect what's mine. Tears stung my eyes. And I'm yours. From the second I saw you, he kissed me then, slow and deep, hands framing my face like I was fragile. We made love on the kitchen floor, urgent and tender, his whispers weaving spells. You're my redemption. I believed him, or wanted to, let the romance eclipse the rot. Winter crept in, snow dusting the fire escape like forgotten confetti. We decorated a Charlie Brown tree, string lights twinkling against the gloom. Mark surprised me with tickets to Rent on Broadway. Cheesy, he admitted, but our vibe, in the theater, as Collins and Angel danced through AIDS and activism. I gripped his hand, the humanism hitting hard, love in the face of loss, defiance against the world's cruelty. Afterward, walking arm in arm through Times Square's neon chaos, he stopped under a billboard, snowflakes catching in his lashes. Marry me? Not now, but someday. My heart swelled, the proposal a lifeline. Someday, I echoed, kissing him amid the crowds, tourists cheering like it was a scene from our own rom-com. But Tyler's ghost lingered. Whispers at school. Heard your ex offed himself over you. Cops circling back with new leads. Mark grew edgier, snapping at shadows, his security shifts stretching longer. One blizzard night, he didn't come home till 4 a.m., reeking of smoke and bourbon. Client thing, he mumbled, collapsing beside me. I traced his fresh cut, lip split, eye swelling. Truth, Mark, he sighed, pulling me close. Tyler's dealer. Thought I was involved. Shook me down, his arms tightened, possessive. But I'm good. For us. Lies layered like snowdrifts. I found the burner phone in his boot a week later. Texts from unknowns. Job's done. Clean up. My stomach dropped. Was Tyler just the start? Who else had he handled for me? Confrontation brewed. Over diner eggs one gray morning, I slid the phone across the formica. Explain. His fork clattered. Color drained. It's nothing. Old contacts. Bullshit. Voices rose. Diner heads turning. Are you killing for cash? To protect me? Or just you? He grabbed my wrist. Eyes flashing. Everything's for you. That dealer? He was coming for Tyler's shit, which meant questions about you. I shut it down. Pain twisted his features. I can't lose this, us. The betrayal stung, sharp as betrayal's first bite. We're not a mob movie, Mark. This isn't love. It's a cage. He recoiled like I'd slapped him. Then leave. But no, I'd burn the world to keep you. I didn't leave. Not then. The romance pulled harder. Those stolen glances, the way he hummed seasons of love in the shower, off-key and endearing. We patched it with therapy apps and promises. No more secrets, but the hoodie haunted my dreams, stained visions of what we'd become. Spring thawed the ice, but not our chill. My short film screened at a Tribeca showcase, Queer Love in the AIDS Era, inspired by us. Mark sat front row, clapping loudest, tears in his eyes during Q&A. Proud of you, he whispered after, toasting with craft beer in a crowded bar. For a night, it was perfect, human, hopeful, two guys against the grind. Then the call came. Anonymous tip, they said. Cops at our door again, this time with warrants. We need to talk to Mark Riley. Regarding a body in the East River. The detectives' badges caught the hallway light like cold stars, their faces etched with the weary certainty of men who'd seen too many rivers give up their dead. Mark froze beside me in the kitchen doorway, coffee mug slipping from his fingers to shatter on the tile, a porcelain explosion mirroring the one in my chest. While I stood there, pulse thundering, the weight of his secrets crashing down like the spring rain outside our window. "Mr. Riley," the taller one said, voice flat as Queen's asphalt, "you're coming with us." Now. Mark's hand found mine in the chaos, squeezing once hard, final before he let go, stepping forward with that criminal justice poise he'd once joked about. "On what grounds?" His tone was even, but I saw the flicker in his eyes, the animal cornered. The shorter detective, a woman with a noble shit bun, held up a plastic evidence bag. My hoodie, or what was left of it, fibers bagged and tagged, the stain analyzed under lab lights that don't forgive. "This yours?" Found it snagged on pilings near where Tyler Hayes washed up. DNA match, his blood. "Your prints." The world narrowed to that bag, swinging like a noose. "Prints? How?" We'd scrubbed it, burned the rag we used, but the hoodie. We kept it, folded away like a relic, too sentimental or scared to destroy. Mark's gaze shot to me, betrayal and plea intertwined. "Anth, don't say it." I cut him off, voice breaking as the female cop cuffed him, the click echoing like a gavel. Neighbors peeked from doors, whispers slithering like smoke. He didn't resist, just glanced back once as they marched him down the stairs, his "I love you" mouthed silent over his shoulder. The door slammed, and I slid down the wall, sobs racking me. Love's demolition in under a minute. Hours blurred. I called Lena, who showed up with bagels and bail money rumors. "He's lawyered up," she said, hugging me tight. "Public defenders swamped, but there's a queer legal aid group. I'll pull strings." Her optimism was a lifeline, but inside, I roiled. Betrayal burned. He'd killed for me, yes, but lied about the layers, the dealer, the burner, the web of violence he'd spun to protect us. Yet beneath the fury, grief clawed. For the man who'd borrowed my hoodie and stolen my heart. For the romance we'd scripted in stolen moments, now reduced to headlines. NYPD's interrogation room was a concrete tomb, or so the lawyer described later, a one-way mirror staring down like judgment. Mark invoked his rights, stone-walled on everything but the basics. Knew Tyler through me, argued that night, lost track after. But forensics didn't lie, blunt force trauma, defensive wounds matching Mark's build, the hoodie's fibers sealing the coffin. Bail denied. Flight risk, they claimed, citing his juvie record. "He's fucked," the lawyer said bluntly over diner coffee, her rainbow pin glinting. "Manslaughter if we're lucky, murder if the DA pushes." I visited twice that week, the plexiglass divider a crueler cage than bars. First time, he looked wrecked, unshaven, jumpsuit swallowing his frame. "I'm sorry," he started, voice muffled by the speaker. "For dragging you in." "Stop," tears welled. "Why the hoodie? You knew it was evidence." "Forgot. In the rush. Thought I could wash it clean." "Like us." His laugh was bitter. "Stupid." We talked circles, love's wreckage, his past bubbling up like sewage. Foster homes beat the shit out of me. And learned early, protect or perish. When Tyler threatened you, flipped a switch. I'd do it again. The confession hung. Raw. I pressed my palm to the glass. But the dealer? Others. His eyes dropped. One other. A stalker from my gym harassed a friend. Made it look like an OD. The admission gutted me. Another layer peeled. I'm not a monster. Just broken. You fixed me. Fixed. I choked. This is ruin. Second visit. Anger 1. You betrayed me. Mark. Used love as cover for your vigilante crap. He nodded, accepting the lash. Deserve that. But know this, every scar, every secret, it was to be worthy of you. The buzzer cut us short, leaving me hollow. Outside, the city mocked me. Spring blooms bursting while my world wilted. Film club meetings felt like charades. I skipped screenings, holed up editing old footage of US. Mark laughing on the fire escape. Snow in his hair. Lena dragged me to a support group, queer survivors. Candlelit circle in a Chelsea church basement. Stories spilled. Beatings. Abandonments. Loves lost to hate. One guy, Javier, shared losing his partner to prison for a bar fight gone wrong. Grieve the dream, not the man, he said. Stuck, a humanistic anchor amid the storm. Mark's trial loomed like a guillotine. June, sweltering heat wave forecast. Prosecution painted him as a hothead ex-con. Motive jealousy over Tyler. Defense countered self-defense. Painting Tyler the aggressor. Witness statements from the party. His history of violence against me. I testified. Voice steady through tears. Tyler was dangerous. Mark saved me that night. Lies and truths blurred. The Hoodie, entered as Exhibit A, sat on the evidence table like a ghost. Courtroom drama peaked mid-trial. A bombshell witness, Tyler's dealer buddy, flipping for immunity. Saw Riley dump the body. Heard him say, "For Anthony." Gasps rippled. The judge banged for order. Mark's face crumpled across the room, our eyes locking, apology in his stare. Betrayal's knife twisted deeper. Not just the act, but the exposure, dragging our private hell public. I bolted to the bathroom, retching into the sink. Lena found me, rubbing my back. He's protecting you still. Even now, nights alone were torture, bed too big, Hoodie unearthed from hiding, clutched like a lover's limb. I traced its stains, faded but indelible, inhaling faint traces of his cologne. Dreams bled, Mark in orange, reaching through bars. Tyler's face, accusatory and slack. Woke sweating, calling his name. A letter arrived, contraband via lawyer, scrawled on legal pad, his handwriting shaky. Nth words fail, but try. You were my light in the dark. Borrowed your hoodie to feel close, never dreamed it'd chain me. If I walk, I'll fight for us. Therapy, clean slate. If not, know you made me believe in redemption. Love, always. Mark. Tears soaked the page. I folded it into my wallet, a talisman against despair. Climax crashed during closing arguments. Day thundered, premeditated rage. A killer cloaked in chivalry. Defense wept. A man defending his heart. His home. Jury deliberated 3 days, eternity in purgatory. I wandered Central Park. Sat on our bench by the Bethesda fountain. Angels mocking my pleas. Javier texted, humanity's in the trying. Forgive yourself. Verdict day, guilty. Manslaughter, not murder, 10 years. Eligible for parole in 5. The gavel fell. Mark stood, chains rattling, our eyes meeting one last blaze. I love you, he mouthed. I nodded, throat closing, as they led him away. Outside, paparazzi flashes blinded. Roommate killer spares lover's life, screamed the tabs. I fled to Lena's, collapsed into sobs. It's over, she held me. No. It's paused. Summer scorched on. I finished my thesis, a docu short on queer love's underbelly, interviewing survivors, weaving in our story anonymized. Screened at Outfest, it won an honorable mention. Judges called it raw, redemptive. Mark's letter propped on my desk. A reminder, humanism in the hurt. Fall semester loomed. I sublet our place, too haunted, and crashed with Lena. One night, buzzed on rooftops, I hooked up with a sound guy, cute, uncomplicated. Felt like betrayal, but Mark's words echoed, someday. Not this. Then, a call from the prison, conjugal visit approved. Heart racing, I drove upstate, the thruway blurring past. He waited in a sterile room, clean-shaven, eyes brighter. You came, couldn't not. We had 4 hours, time suspended. He pulled me close. No glass now. Bodies remembering. Missed this, he murmured, hands reverent on my skin. We talked. Plans. Pains. The hoodie I'd donated to a shelter. Cleansed in symbolism. I'll wait, I said. But change. Mark. For real. He nodded. Fierce. For us. As guards called time. He pressed a makeshift gift into my palm. A folded note. Sketched heart. Driving back. Tears streamed. But so did resolve. Love wasn't clean. It was gritty. American. Forged in brownstones and back alleys. Redeemed in letters and long hauls. Winter gripped the city again. But this time solo subway rides alone. The fire escape empty save for pigeon shit and memories etched like frost. 5 years stretched like a sentence of my own. Marked by postcards from Mark. Parole hearing soon. Thinking of your laugh. I built a life in the interstices. Graduated NYU with a film degree. Landed a gig editing indie docs for a queer streaming collective in Bushwick. Nights, I'd sift through footage of protests and pride parades, cutting stories of resilience that mirrored our fractured fairy tale. But the hole he left ached. A dull throb softened by therapy and hookups that never stuck. Guys who borrowed my time but not my soul. Betrayal's scar faded to silver. Humanism healing the raw edges. Javier's group became family. We swapped war stories over coffee, laughing at love's absurdities. He killed for you, Javier said once. Eyebrow arched. That's gangster romance, I chuckled. But it landed true. Mark's violence a twisted devotion, born of scars deeper than mine. Parole came swift, model inmate. Community letters from my circle vouching his reformed heart. He called from a halfway house in the Bronx, voice crackling with nerves. I'm out. Clean. Meet me? Heart in overdrive. I said yes. The diner off Fordham Road was neutral ground. Booths scarred by decades of confessions. Coffee bitter as regret. He slid in across from me. Leaner but solid. Hair cropped short. Eyes scanning like he expected phantoms. No hoodie. Just a plain tee hugging shoulders I'd mapped by touch. You look good, he said. Voice rough from disuse. You too. Awkward beat. Then we dove, catching up like old friends, skirting the abyss. His time inside GD in counseling, leading groups for at-risk youth. Learn to unpack the rage. For you, My films, the collective's buzz. Proud doesn't cover it. Food arrived, we picked at it, knees brushing under the table, electric, tentative. Missed this, he admitted, gaze dropping. Missed you. The pull was magnetic, but caution held me. 5 years. Mark. We've changed. He nodded, fingers drumming. I know. But the core? Still here. He slid a small box across, velvet, worn. Inside, a keychain, intertwined silver rings, engraved someday. From the shop program. Not proposing. Just remembering. Tears pricked. I pocketed it. Walk with me. Bronx streets hummed. Kids on stoops. Bodegas spilling salsa rhythms. We wandered, hands swinging close, not quite touching. At a park bench overlooking the Harlem River. Ironic. Given its ghosts, he stopped. I fucked up. Bad. But I'd rewrite it if I could. No blood. Just us. Can't rewrite, I said softly. But forward? Maybe. Our hands linked then. Tentative bridge. The kiss was slow, testing. Tasting time's changes. Salt and sweetness. Forgiveness blooming. We rebuilt cautious. Weekends at my new place. A one-bed in Williamsburg. Exposed brick and dreams. He crashed on the couch first. Respecting boundaries. But nights pulled us closer. Movie marathons turning to makeouts. His lips tracing apologies on my neck. Slow, I whispered, and he obeyed. Hands patient explorers. His halfway rules chafed, curfews, job hunts, but he landed security again. Legit firm this time. No shadows. We volunteered together, queer youth center in Harlem. Him facilitating anger management. Me screening film clips on identity. Kids latched on, wide-eyed teens sharing stories of coming out in hostile homes. One boy, Rico, cornered Mark after. You get it, man. The fight inside. Mark's eyes misted. Later, he confessed. That's me at 15. Wish I'd had this. Romance reignited. Deeper now, scarred. Sustainable. Mornings. Coffee shared over the Times. His arm around my waist as we scrolled headlines. Evenings. Cooking disasters. Laughing over charred pasta. Bodies sinking in bed with a reverence born of loss. You're my anchor, he'd murmur, fingers threading mine. No borrowing hoodies, instead. He gifted one soft navy, monogrammed A&M. Ours now, but conflict simmered. His past nipped at heels. Old crew contacts surfacing. Vague threats via burner apps. Owe us, Riley. He brushed it off, but tension coiled. One night, after a tense call he took in the bathroom, I snapped. No secrets. Remember, he exhaled, defeated. It's nothing. Debt from inside cigarettes. Protection. Paying it off slow. With what? Your blood. Fear laced my anger. Echoes of Tyler. The river. He pulled me close. Fierce. Not anymore. Swear. Therapy twice a week. Clean. I believed him. Mostly. Humanistic threads wove us tighter. Joined a queer book club. Devouring Baldwin and White tales of love's quiet revolutions. Wrote a feature script together, Shadows on the Stoop, about ex-cons finding grace in the city. Pitched it to a producer friend, optioned for peanuts, but the validation hummed. Climax brewed in summer heat, anniversary of his release. We planned a getaway, cheap cabin upstate, near his Syracuse roots. En route, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Pull over," he said, voice tight. "What? Now?" Tires screeched into a rest stop, gravel crunching. He stepped out, pacing as he answered, low murmurs, then shouts, "Fuck you. I paid." Click. Face ashen. He climbed back. "Crew. Want more? Say they know about you. Film guy. Easy target." Ice flooded my veins. "We go to cops." "No." Panic edged his tone. "They'll bury me. Probation violation." Betrayal flared. Old wounds ripping. "So what? Hide again? Like with Tyler?" "That's not." He gripped the wheel white-knuckled. "I'd die before letting them touch you." We drove in silence, Catskills looming like judges. Cabin was rustic pine walls, lake view, but tension choked the air. That night, by firelight, I unloaded. "This is the conflict, Mark. You're past chasing us. I love you, God. I do, but it's suffocating." He knelt, eyes pleading. "One last thing. I'll end it. Confront them, pay final, cut ties." His hands cupped my face. "Then free. For us." Doubt warred with desire. We made love desperate, bodies slamming, reclaiming. "Promise," I gasped. "Promise." He left at dawn, kiss lingering like a brand. Hours stretched. I paced the dock, lake lapping anxious. Dusk fell when tires crunched. His truck, but he emerged shadowed, lips split, shirt torn. "Done," he rasped, collapsing into my arms. "Paid double." Threatened back, called my PO, recorded it. "They're ghosts now." Relief crashed, but scrutiny lingered. "Blood." His nose. "Mine too." He grinned, weary. "Old habits." We healed lakeside skinny dips, stargazing confessions. "You're my humanity," he said, tracing constellations on my chest. Back in the city, peace settled, threats silenced, therapy deepening bonds. Fall brought green shoots, script greenlit for short, premiered at Tribeca, standing ovation, Mark's hand in mine. Critics called it a poignant queer odyssey of atonement. But life's drama doesn't fade easy. Winter solstice. A letter arrived, Tyler's mom, forgiving. Heard the story. Blame the demons, not the lovers. Humanistic balm. We framed it. Reminder of grace. Spring erupted in full bloom 2 years post-release. Cherry blossoms papering Brooklyn sidewalks like confetti from a wedding we hadn't yet thrown. Mark and I had carved a rhythm, domesticated yet defiant. His security vest swapped for a counselor's badge at the youth center. My edits funding a loft in Greenpoint with skyline views that whispered possibility. The Hoodie era felt ancient. A prologue to this chapter. Mornings tangled in Egyptian cotton, his lips brushing my temple as coffee brewed. Evenings scripting sequels to Shadows, our fingers flying in sync over shared laptops. Love, once a battlefield, had mellowed into a hearth warm, weathered, unbreakable. Yet echoes persisted, subtle tremors testing our foundation. A tabloid puff piece on the roommate redemption surfaced, sensational slop, but it stirred old vultures. Anonymous emails pinged my work account, killer's boy toy. Watch your back. Mark saw one, jaw tightening like old times. Block him. We're past this. Easy to say. Insecurity nipped. Fear he'd snap again. or I'd bolt from the baggage. Therapy unpacked it. His group sessions on accountability, mine on codependency's hooks. You're not Tyler's ghost, my shrink affirmed. Nor his savior. Just Anthony enough. Javier threw an engagement party unprompted. Rainbow balloons. Drag queens belting Gaga. After Mark's offhand someday ring shopping tale leaked. About time. Hoodie's hero. Javier toasted. Winking. We laughed. But the seed took. Over rooftop tacos. Mark knelt one humid July eve. Box trembling in hands. Anthony hail. You're my plot twist. My happy fade out. Marry me. Tears blurred the city lights. Yes. God. Yes. Rings exchanged, simple titanium bands. Etched with A&M forever sealed it. Wedding planning became our rom-com. Venue hunts in the Finger Lakes. Guest lists blending film nerds and ex-cons turned mentors. Lena as best woman. Javier officiant. By the power of queer chaos. But climax loomed unbidden. Fall pre-wedding. A ghost resurfaced. Mark's old crew enforcer. Big Sal. Paroled and petty. He cornered Mark post-shift. Alley ambush. Demands for one last cut from the fame. Mark fought clean pepper spray. Knee to groin called cops on site. Sal arrested. But the shake rattled us. See, I yelled in our loft. Pacing amid half-packed boxes for the honeymoon. You're past. It claws back. He winced. Ice on his ribs. Called it in. No more hiding. But doubt festered. Cancelled fittings. Sleepless nights. What if I'm poison? He whispered once. Vulnerable in the dark. Your antidote, I countered, pulling him close. We choose this. Vows exchanged under upstate oaks. October gold. 80 guests in flannel and finery. Javier's ceremony wove humanism. Love isn't absence of storm, but dancing in it. Anthony and Mark, you've weathered floods. Now, build the ark. Rings slipped on. Kisses sealed amid cheers. Reception pulsed. Lena's speeches roasting the Hoodie saga. Mark's toast. Anthony taught me grace isn't given, it's grown. To us, messy and mighty. Honeymoon in Provincetown, Cape Cod's queer haven. Dunes and drag brunches. We biked trails. Bodies rediscovering in salt air. His hands mapping new promises on my skin. No threats left, he murmured by bonfire. Stars pricking the velvet sky. Just this. Back home. Life layered richer. Adopted a mutt named Indy. Co-wrote a novelization of Shadows, bestseller in niche presses. Themes of redemption resonating. Center work deepened. Mark mentored Rico, now college-bound, while I filmed a series on queer elders, stories of love's enduring McCarthy eras. Stonewall fires. Conflict's embers glowed once more. Subtle. A parole officer's routine check uncovering Sal's snitch claims. Riley's still dirty. Investigation cleared him, clean record. Alibis ironclad. But the probe dredged Tyler's file, forcing a media blip. Protests outside the center. Killer counselor? Pickets with signs. Parents pulling kids. Mark broke that night. First time I'd seen him shatter. Curled on the bathroom floor. Sobs echoing off tiles. Can't do this to you. The taint. I knelt, cradling him. We're the story, not the stain. Human, we fuck up. Forgive. Flourish. Called our network. Press conference. Unscripted. Mark faced mics. Voice steady. I killed in fear once. Now, I heal. Judge me by actions, not archives. Backlash flipped, op-eds praising vulnerability. Enrollments surged. Winter wedding anniversary. Quiet, profound. We revisited the brownstone, vacant now, ghosts gentled. Stood on the fire escape, snow soft as secrets. Borrow your hoodie? He teased, pulling me close. Mine now, I laughed, zipping us together in the old gray one, unearthed from storage, cleaned, cherished. Years unspooled like film reels. Indie graying, our scripts optioned for series, Shadows S2 exploring post-prison packs. Mark earned a Psych Masters, published on trauma's queer angles. I directed my first feature, Hoodie Hearts, semi-auto, a romance laced with lethal love, starring unknowns with our fire. Sundance premiere, tears, applause, Mark's hand in mine through the roar. Old age crept gentle, silver threading his scar, my sketches turning to portraits of us. Grandkids from Lena's brood called him Uncle Marky, begging tales minus the blood. On our 20th, Lake Cabin Redux, he borrowed the hoodie again, for old times, and we danced slow on the dock, water lapping like applause. You saved me, he whispered, forehead to mine. We saved each other, kiss deepened, timeless. In the end, not tragic blaze, but humanistic fade. Love proved resilient as New York asphalt. Cracked, but holding. Mark's heart gave under pneumonia's quiet siege. 72 and peaceful, my hand in his till the monitors flatlined. Funeral packed, youths he'd lifted, films I'd cut, all toasting the man who borrowed a hoodie and gave a lifetime. I scattered ashes by the river, not east, but Hudson, west-facing sunsets. Kept the hoodie, worn soft, a wrap for winter walks. Grief's aches softened to gratitude, for the drama that forged us, the romance that redeemed, the humanity that endured. In my final script, Memoir Doku, borrowed threads, I narrated over fades. He killed threats to keep me safe. But love, that killed nothing, only made us whole. Fade to black. Roll credits. The end.